Yes.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Meet the RSSG family. Today we are with Orwell. You want to give yourself a quick introduction here?
Hi. I go by random roads on the internet. A pleasure for all of you to be listened by all of you. I stream on Twitch under Random Roads, and I also publish adventures on the DM's Guild for the game Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition under Random Roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So why don't you tell us a little about what you play, what you like to play on your stream?
So I subscribe to the very hip term of being a variety streamer because everybody throws that out. I started doing the games that inspired the various adventures I was gonna write. So my first full series was the old, I think it was like 2005 game Temple of Elemental Evil, which was a game based off the third edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And that was my first long form series. If you seen the clips in my opening, the oldest ones will be from that. I have very long hair. My mic is bad. My webcam is bad, and I'm playing that. Um, as of late, I do mainly a lot of things with my friend group because I think it really just helps the comedy of it all, the shenanigans we get into together. So we do things like Sea of Thieves or Project Zomboid. Um, I just finished up doing Return of the Obra Dinn, playing that with my partner. Um, and then I have a series I called Suffering Saturdays, where I pay my penance for my gaming sins by playing games on the hardest difficulty I can get. So we played Metro Exodus on the you have no HUD and bullets hurt like real bullets difficulty. That was really fun. And so that is kind of the tableau of what I do on stream.
I love that you mentioned the tabletop aspect, the RPG aspect here, because one of my favorite things to do is ask people if you were a villain in the gaming world, what would be your origin story of how you got into gaming?
Oh.
Where did your story start with video games?
So my oldest gaming memory, it is actually in this room. It would be right here. Because this used to be the family office, and sitting where my computer is now was our old PC, and my stepdad would come in when he was watching over us before he was even my stepdad, and he would sit me on his lap and he would play Mech Warrior, and I would watch him play Mech Warrior, and he hung out with me and we do that, and then he would play Baldur's Gate or he would play Neverwinter Nights, and I just sat with him. Like it was one of the how we passed the time when he babysat me. And so that was hugely influential. At my friend's house, he had Age of Empires 2, which also got me into my love of history.
Such a good
And
game.
yeah, it's like I did. I have the remaster. I actually hold. I think two records on the speed running Age of Empires.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, speedrun.com. For the L two of the L Cid levels. Um, but yeah, and then I owned a PS2, which I played largely like Tack and the Power of Juju, um, the Hobbit PS2 game, which was by far one of my favorite adventure games, and then SpongeBob the Dutchman's Revenge. Those are the big three of my console days.
Sure.
Um, and then I moved up into other things, but like the memories of my stepdad sitting me down, playing, taking turns with my best friends on his home computer, and then that little PS2 would be the three elements that combined to make my video gaming history. My family's nerds, so my larger like tabletop gaming history and board game gaming history, I could go even further out than those memories. But when it came to video gaming, that's how they started.
That's great. Um, so obviously, there's a lot of story to where it started, but gaming that never means the same to us as we get older. It changes in how it defines our lives. And so, how has that changed now? How do you see gaming now as opposed to how you saw it when you were younger?
So this is actually one of the beautiful stories of, I feel like, of streaming, where I started streaming last year, and I would play video games in short bursts, mainly with my friends, because it was a great reason for me to hang out with them. Because my brain kept telling me when I would try to play games, you can be doing something more productive.
Hmm.
And it was this large mental block where I could not enjoy games for more than an hour because I felt like I should be doing something else.
Right.
And every Monday, I started my streaming career on my friend Silvertella's channel where we played Stardew Valley together.
Oh, I love Stardew.
It was so good. We did a four-person multiplayer farm when the island came out.
Yeah.
And eventually, COVID happened.
Mm,
I um I broke up with my previous partner, and I was coming home and I was just like, what am I gonna do? And my dad, who saw us do the streaming things with my friend Silver, was like, hey, you have some money saved up. You should spend that on streaming, and you should stream the games you want to play. And just that simple thing, like, I've beaten more games this year than I think any other year in my history. I finished Neverwinter Nights. I finished Temple of Elemental Evil finally. I finished these massive RPGs, the Metro games, Elden Ring. I've never beaten a Souls series when it first came out. It always takes me so long, and yet I'm doing all of these things, and it has just been this colossal like blessing to do it. And it is my escapism. Like, some people watch sports, but I play D&D in the evenings.
right.
Um, and if I wanted, I have the number of friends and ideas that I can play D&D every night if I really wanted to.
Right.
And yeah, it's
Um,
just so good.
so I'm gonna throw a question in here you're probably not ready for. Just looking at your background, on the left-hand side, I see MTG binders. So I have
Yep.
to assume you're a card player. Ooh, you
Yep.
froze. What happened
Oh,
here? Video? Let me try this again.
you're all good.
Yeah, I think we're good now. Sorry about that.
All right,
So,
we're good.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but I have fallen in love with LOR, and I'm kind of wondering, do you play LOR at all? With Legends of Runeterra, if you're not familiar with it.
I have not played it.
Um, they created this like player versus environment um, card game that
Yeah.
you can still do player versus player, but they have this path of champions where you beat one opponent at a time, and you can buff a card after that after each win, and then you can buff your champions. It's really something you might check out if you're into card games. I recommend it highly to people,
Yeah.
especially because of the player versus environment aspect.
Yeah. I've I'm a big Hearthstone guy.
Hmm.
I like a few of the modes in that. Obviously, you can see I have quite a bit in Magic: The Gathering,
Hmm.
though not the online version. And then, I mean, I played through all of Inscription when that came out. That was another game I finished this year, was that game, and so it's definitely in my wheelhouse.
Sure. Um, so now we get kind of into the meat and potatoes of this interview because
Is
obviously
it serious?
this is RSSG.
Yeah.
Um, how did you join RSSG? Are you like an OG, or did somebody bring you in?
So I'm not the oest of G's, but I think I am fairly close to the beginning. So Calicors is
Hmm.
my friend in real life. And like I said with that story earlier, when I came into streaming, it was this big move in my life. And I think someone's home. Um, with that, I was doing all this thing, and I'd watched Cal streams all the time, and he came to me and was like, "Hey, if you're going to start doing this, you should join this group that I'm in to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helped me get off the ground. It got me to the affiliate stuff. I got to meet a bunch of great people, and I used, I there's a lot of people that I remember being in the RSSG who aren't there now. Like
Mm,
I've been it's been over a year since I've joined, and I've watched it grow and change. And so it is interesting to see that transition, and I'm still here.
right. Well, I mean that answers my follow-up question too. So that was well done. Um, yes. So what are your goals, like long-term goals as a streamer? Are you looking to make this like a job, or are you just trying to create a community, or are you just trying to find a way to spend your gaming time?
I think a big part of it is I kind of mentioned before is this. Oh, 1 second, please.
Not a problem. Smooth looking chair. As long as we have this downtime. I mean, look at that chair. That's a gamer, guys. That is a gamer. We don't talk about my chair. We treat my chair like Bruno. We definitely weren't talking about you in your absence. That would have been,
Oh, that would.
believe it
Of
or not,
course
we were
not.
talking about your chair. So,
No, it has a weird neck pillow that I hated. Like the fact that they have a thing that's supposed to go here, I always find this the worst part of the chair.
sure,
Mainly because instead of like being around my neck, it's always like in my back,
sure,
and it just makes me hunch forward. Um, so the future of my stream, that's where
right,
we were. Um, editing magic, Um, I mean, a large part of it, I think, has been achieved in just it convinces me to play games all the way through.
right,
Like, I have a lot less trouble finishing things that I play on stream. It's fun. Those nights you get, like, oh, I got rated 2 times and I had 20 people in chat and all of that, and I got subs and I get to brag that I earned money by playing video games. Like it's the same thing when I'm writing my D&D stuff. It's that same thought of like I'm a best-selling Dungeons and Dragons author, don't you know? I have a little um JPEG on one of my adventures, don't you know? I'm a special boy. Um, but the so that has been a large part of it. Would I like to become more successful? Sure. I think that would be fun. But I'm not looking for it to be my full time job. I love the idea of teaching. I love my course as a social studies teacher, and that's
hmm
what I wanted to be since the 7th grade. And so this has always been one of those fun things that it says it's good for my mental health. It's great that I get to share things with people, and occasionally I even make money off it.
right. It, it is interesting you mentioned being a social studies teacher because there's something not a lot of people know, um, especially like I don't like the Civil War. I don't like World War One and Two. But my guiltiest pleasure is the Revolutionary War. Like, if I can,
Really?
I will watch a documentary. I'll watch a movie. I'll read books. Like, if I can get my hands on Revolutionary period information, I go nuts for it. So it's good to like history. I feel is important, but I just for some reason I just clicked in that period, and I think a lot of it has to do with John Adams. Like that's
Oh,
John
my
Adams was
man.
just like everybody else was doing these sneaky, clever things, and John Adams is just like, I'm gonna be straightforward and I'm gonna do it because it's the right thing to do. Like that was his whole thing.
Well,
So
yeah, if you just think of like the fact that he was the lawyer for the British at the Boston Massacre, like by all accounts, that's like such the enemy kind of thing. But not
right,
only was he such a great lawyer, he was such an idealist in that way that both sides just wanted him. They
right.
wanted him on their side.
Um,
Uh,
so now we get kind of to like this. I mentioned it every video because this is my favorite question. I love to ask for a funny or awkward streaming story. It can just be something like you didn't realize you were live for a while, or you had a viewer come in you had to ban that was really awkward. Like, I'll take any kind of funny or awkward story you have about streaming.
So, this is a Blue Yeti microphone. It's
Uh-huh.
very nice. I spent a lot of money on it. It has been with me since pretty much the beginning. And on the back, there are these two little dials. One is your gain, and the other is where the microphone better picks up audio. So I'm in 4 months of streaming. I'm about to stream Sea of Thieves with my friend Andy. And Andy's like, man, your audio quality always seems off. I'm like, all right, I'll play with my microphone. And we were doing things, and I noticed something. So I had one of those like extendy arms at that moment, and I was looking at it, and the little mute button was on the other side of the microphone. And I'm looking at it, and I grabbed my microphone, and I slowly twisted it around. I was like, can you hear me better? He's like, oh wow, that is much better. What did you do? And I was like, I turned my microphone around. So for 4 months, it was the wrong way. I was
Wow.
broadcasting into the dead half of the microphone.
That's so funny.
It's one of my clips that shows up in my reel now and again of just like not quite knowing how my equipment works,
Mhm.
and it me needing to on stream turn it around.
Have you joined us in the clipception? Speaking of clips.
I've dropped in I've dropped clips in the RSSG little chat before, if that's
so
what you mean.
no. Clipception. I don't remember who it started, but somebody clipped somebody doing a click. They shouted out somebody, and somebody clipped it. And then in another stream, they clipped the clip of the clip. So like, there's like 6 different clips going on at once at this point. And I was just wondering if you were part of that yet.
I've not been. The closest I have is I have a clip of me. I'm watching Cal's thing as he's reacting to something I did. But that's the closest I've got. I've not seen the clip section.
The clips, I think it's like
yet.
it's Dudar, Karsa, Hellfather, myself. There are a few others that get involved, and there are some that they're spread out. So I sometimes I wonder if people are part of that.
When you say that list of names, it's so interesting because, like I mentioned about how it's been a bit over a year, like that list in my mind, you are all new people. Like Dudar's not. Dudar I think came in before me.
Right.
But like Dudar and Keebs
Yes.
are like the people that I know before me that I see still doing things a lot, and then I see you other guys and I'm like, oh, look at those young people.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still very fresh to streaming, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to do the best I can for RSSG because I love the organization so much. So
I mean, you've put together an interview show. I'm pretty sure that puts you quite high up in the ranks.
well, I'm loving doing it because I get to learn a little about each and every one of you, and people seem to be responding well to this interview show. So
Yeah, it's a good time.
but I do have to. We've got to move to get this finished up a little sooner before YouTube goes, your video's too long again. So,
All right.
is there anything you want people to know, like you haven't said already about your stream?
Not really. But besides the fact that this started as a way to get people to look at some of my Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So if you play Dungeons and Dragons, if you put random roads into the search bar, got there at the DM's Guild, you can find my stuff there. I guess the other thing that I think about when I'm streaming is like, as a kid who grew up with a pretty bad speech impediment, I always feel a sigh of like relief and like, oh, yay, when people watch me and I can get through a thing without largely messing up.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I think those are the big things.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time for any of it. This has been one of the most fun interviews I have done. You're just so animated, and I love that. So
When you teach, you gotta be.
absolutely, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But yes, I appreciate your time very much. And for the viewers out there, we are actually having an interview with Keep coming up, so please look forward to that. And I'm so excited to have it.
Man,
And
it's
I
the
will
powerhouse of a cell.
absolutely, uh, yes, mitochondria. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay. But yeah, I will catch you all in the next video, and I appreciate you taking the time to view. Bye bye.
Anytime.